Carlos Alcaraz versus Jannik Sinner. It doesn't get much bigger than this. Two of the best players in the world right now. We have a new world number one in Jannik Sinner. They've played each other loads of times already. The matches never disappoint. It's a massive semi-final. The question is, who will win?
That's right, people. We are back. Make sure you hit a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, because this is our podcast for the semi-final. And we're going to be going through both semi-finals as well. We have Casper Ruud and Alex Zverev on the other side too. But the main one everybody is talking about, it's the biggest match in tennis right now. And it is Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, the biggest rivalry, which is going to be going for at least the next 20 years. So I hope you're buckled up and ready for, I think they call this round 9, JG.
Yeah, it's a big one because it feels like the final before the final. No disrespect to either Zverev or Ruud, but I feel whoever meets one of them in the final is the big favourite. Yeah. I think if it's Casper Ruud, even more so. I think Sinner and Alcaraz will be rubbing their hands together against him in another Grand Slam final. Zverev has that wild card factor. Like, I think he's got the ability to beat both. Alcaraz, we've seen it recently. He's got the ability to lose comfortably too. And same with Sinner. I think Zverev has something which could throw a spanner in the works. But let's not worry about the final. We're nowhere near that yet. We've got the big semi-final to get through. And it could be one of the best matches we've seen, because the ones in the past have never disappointed. We all remember that one at the US Open, what went all the way to the end in the early hours. I forget even what time it was. I think it was something like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, was it, in the UK?
It's ridiculous. I remember it well.
Crazy time. And it's so close. Both of them seem to be able to beat each other. I think Sinner recently, maybe he's had his number a little bit, but Sinner's had everyone's number and been winning so many matches. But the bookies have this one as Alcaraz being favourite. And I think a lot of that is to do with his pedigree on the clay.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and the fact that when we came into the tournament, he was already the favourite. I think we've got to look at that, because it's very hard.
Because of his pedigree on the clay?
Yeah, you've got to dislodge the favourite from being the favourite. I mean, it's tough. They don't move too much, those odds, I think, even if you go through a tournament, despite how well you're playing. If you've made it to that stage of the tournament, you're still going to maintain your being the favourite for the whole tournament. I think Alcaraz still is the favourite for the tournament, but the fact he's playing Jannik Sinner in such inspired form, it's scary for him right now. I know that he says he loves playing Jannik Sinner, and I know that they have a great friendship, but I don't think that even comes and plays a factor right now, because he needs to be watching what Jannik Sinner's doing. He doesn't want to be too friendly, and he really needs to start having a really good strategy to how to beat somebody who hasn't lost in a Grand Slam match this year. Because Jannik Sinner, for me, looks scary, and I'm not sure anyone can beat him right now. It's a bit of a crazy prospect that Alcaraz being the favourite coming in, I'm sort of shying more onto the Sinner side right now.
I can't call it. I'm finding it extremely difficult. So I'm hoping by the end of this video, I'll have a better idea on which way I'm going to go, because right now I'm finding it extremely tough. As you can see, here are the semi-finals. So we've got number 2, Jannik Sinner versus number 3 seed Carlos Alcaraz, and number 4, Alex Zverev versus number 7 seed Casper Ruud. So the only one who's not there, who was probably expecting with the seeding, is Novak Djokovic, who underwent a surgery today. So all the best with Novak Djokovic. Not looking good for not just Wimbledon, but also the Olympics. I think it's going to be very difficult to recover in time with a knee surgery as serious as his at, 37 years old? Yeah. It's tough, extremely tough. I'm not sure, maybe 38 now. I know didn't he have a birthday recently?
Creeping up. I think it's 37, but yeah, it's still a ripe old age, 37, to be going through a surgery and then having to recover within a month. I don't think he's going to make Wimbledon.
No.
Can he make the Olympics? That's the main thing we need to worry about with Novak Djokovic. But you sort of called it. I think you called. I'd give you 3 out of the 4 quarterfinals, to be honest. I mean, you called straight sets, and a retirement. So I give that to you. And I went with Zverev in straight sets on the De Minaur one, so I'll get 1 out of 4 maybe for my correct predictions. But well done to you. You definitely beat me in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I'll take that one. But semi-finals, a time and a chance for you to redeem yourself.
Yep.
I think I should get extra points for saying that Ruud will beat Djokovic with a retirement. Pretty specific, but
retirement before the match. Though.
That's true. I did have the match starting. I thought Djokovic would have played, but clearly the injury a lot worse.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the Sinner Alcaraz matchup though, and probably the best place to start is having a look at their route and the players they've played so far to get to this position. And the first one I want to look at is Carlos Alcaraz. He's beaten JJ Wolf straight sets, De Jong in 4, Korda in straights, Felix in straights, Tsitsipas in straights. And that is only 1 set dropped this whole tournament against an inspired Jesper de Jong. We watched that set together in person. Jesper de Jong was playing brilliantly well. Korda, good player. Felix is playing all right. Tsitsipas, we know how well he's been playing. But Alcaraz is he's like a train you can't stop. Out of control.
Runaway train.
Yeah, that's the one. And I've just been mesmerised with some of his performances and the way he hits the ball. Tsitsipas spoke about it and said in his career, there's only maybe, I think he said 1 or 2 people, or maybe 2 or 3 people he's played, where the ball is so deep with so much spin and power that he physically doesn't know what he can do. And Alcaraz is one of them. I'm assuming the other ones are probably between Federer and Nadal or Djokovic.
Must be.
So it's extremely high praise from Tsitsipas, because as much as I'm a bit critical of him, one thing I will say is I do trust what he says about tennis. The reason being, he's someone who's played at the very high level for multiple years now against the very best players during periods where they've played very well.
Yeah.
So on that basis, I truly believe he knows what a Rafael Nadal is like on a clay court. He's played him when he's been playing extremely well. He knows what a Djokovic is like on the hard courts or on any other courts, to say that. So when he speaks, I do listen, and I think that's such high praise for Carlos Alcaraz. He probably puts him above Sinner because he's beaten Sinner recently. And he's never said the same things about Sinner as he does about Alcaraz. He's never beaten Carlos Alcaraz. Doesn't look close to even taking a set recently. No. And I just think that whole run is amazing. But I know I've been talking for a bit. So what do you make of his run?
I think his run is, well, it's exemplary. If you look at it, the JJ Wolf one expected the win. I said I thought Jesper de Jong was a tougher match than what the normal billing would have given it, and it proved to be. I think Jesper de Jong, he qualified in fantastic fashion. Somebody we've had on the podcast, go check out the video if you haven't done so yet. Really nice guy. Yeah, he played brilliantly. We watched the match in full, and the set he won was no fluke. Let's put it to rights. He absolutely took that set, and Alcaraz, being one of the best players in the world, I think he would have taken that set against Djokovic. I think he would have taken that set against Nadal, maybe, in his prime, maybe not, but Nadal, maybe. That could have happened. Anyway, this run, I think Tsitsipas was an ideal match for him. The way that he came up against him, we expected the victory. I thought Tsitsipas may get a set. I mean, he's beaten him the last 2 years, and it's been straight sets at Roland Garros. It's sort of been made for him a little bit, this draw, but it has been getting gradually more difficult along the way. Sinner's a completely different matchup to all of these people he's just played. It's a completely different affair when he comes up against Sinner, because it's somebody who knows his game and somebody who's able to make adjustments every time he plays him based upon the last time they played. And this is what they both do as well. So I'm interested to see how Jannik Sinner adjusts based upon watching Alcaraz in this tournament, because he hasn't had to play him, but he's got to see what he's all about. And I think that he may have seen a few holes in there that he could exploit.
Looking at Sinner's run, he's beat Eubanks in straight sets, Gasquet, the Frenchman, in France in straight sets, Kotov straight sets, Moutet in 4, and then Dimitrov in straight sets. And I mean, let's start with the big one, and that's Grigor Dimitrov. Grigor Dimitrov has been one of the best players this year, no doubt about it. He's been incredible, playing his best tennis in the world he's ever played. He's inside the top 10. I think he's been like a top 5 player in large spells. To beat him in straight sets, I think that just shows the level of Jannik Sinner these days.
Yeah. I mean,
and he is another level altogether. It's very Big Three-esque tennis from him. It's so dominant. Remember, this guy has only ever won one Grand Slam, and it was at the start of the year. He's now, I think, looking favourite for the rest of the 3. It doesn't matter what surface it's on. He's got a great shot here. He's in the semi-finals. He's got a good shot at Wimbledon. He plays good on the grass. Great shot at the US Open too.
Yeah.
Good shot on everything he plays. He is so good. And since that sick incident in China, he's been another man where he threw up in the bin. Just incredible. In that first set against Dimitrov, it was only 30 odd minutes as well. It was a 6-2. Even wins in tie breaks. He wins all of the big points. The only weird one was the Moutet one. And it was the first set in which he almost got bageled. Very, very uncharacteristic. It's the first time I've seen him in any kind of jeopardy all year. Yeah. The only time he lost a set by 6-2 was against Carlos Alcaraz. I think that could have been the Indian Wells one.
Sounds familiar.
But an Indian Wells, we know the love affair Carlos Alcaraz has there. It seems to be his favourite tournament and one he does so well at. So maybe we can afford him that against a Carlos Alcaraz. The Moutet one's strange.
Yeah.
Is it worrying? Is it worrying that he's got the ability to do that?
I don't think so. I think he just got caught cold on that one day. I think everybody, and this is the one thing that I would put with Jannik Sinner.
Caught cold, but it's rare, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, but
how many times does he get caught cold?
This is the comparison I would use now, and I think this isn't a bad thing at all for Jannik Sinner. In fact, I think it's a good thing, because the person that I would compare this to would be Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
And it is the exact same thing. He can allow himself these days. He's that good, and he is now a world beater. He can go into any Grand Slam match knowing it's a 5-setter, and he can give you a first set. I don't even think it matters who you are. And he still has in his mind he can win that match, if not in 4, in 5. Yeah. And I think that we've gone past the days now where we think, oh, Sinner, if he loses 2 sets, he might lose the match. There's that belief now in there. He's a Grand Slam champion. He's here to stay. And he's dangerous no matter what in a Grand Slam match.
Did it against Daniel Medvedev, 2 sets down, 1 in 5.
Exactly
won
right.
The Grand Slam. And it is very Djokovic-esque. The reason being, he lost that first set 6-2. And then, like Djokovic does, gets better as the sets go on. It was 3 in the second, 2 in the third, and then 1. A nice 6-1 in the fourth. That is exactly what Djokovic does.
Exactly. This is what I mean.
Complete mirror.
It is. It's like he's used Djokovic. I mean, I feel like these careers sort of overlapping is sort of beautiful in a way, because you're seeing what attributes that the current players coming through can take from the last stock that we had from the last ones. I don't want to call them the old guard, but Rafael Nadal and Djokovic are the old guard, and despite Djokovic, he has been doing well recently, there is going to be a time when he isn't so competitive. And we're seeing it with Nadal, and they've sort of taken the positions. I mean, Alcaraz, so physical, so demanding, and so good on the clay, but it takes a toll on his body, and he's getting injuries here, there, and everywhere. And Jannik Sinner, very much cool, calm, collected, and very regimented, and very much by the book with every single shot and so much discipline, and he seems to get the job done in a different way. Very interesting that we're seeing these parallels between the way that we've seen the last generation and this generation sort of interlinking. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think there's some good analysis there. Something we've not spoken about too much, and that is Jannik Sinner being the new world number one. It's an incredible achievement. He's the first Italian world number one in history. You can see what he had to say after it happened. He said, well, he was speaking about Novak Djokovic, saying how he was hoping he's okay and that maybe it wasn't the best circumstances to get it, but I think it was a matter of time. He said, grateful for the moment, something we've worked very hard for, but the work doesn't stop here. Forza.
Forza indeed.
You're very camp when you sing that.
Well,
with a finger wag.
I try it with the
very, very camp.
It reminds me a little bit of the way the singing is of a bit of like Queen, so a bit of Freddie Mercury. So maybe I wanted to go more like big, like fist in the air, to be honest. But anyway, I like it. I love the fact that we've got Jannik Sinner. It's too humble for me, but I feel like you're only ever going to get this when somebody achieves these great things, even at such a young age as well. Alcaraz was the person who said last November, when asked if Jannik Sinner could win a Grand Slam in 2024, he said, I don't even think that. I think he will be world number one next year. So he knows the ability of Jannik Sinner.
He knows.
Yeah.
As Rafael Nadal would say.
He know the rules.
He know the rules.
Exactly.
That's where Djokovic come into, was it Australia?
Yeah, that was,
don't remember that.
He know. Yeah, exactly right. And he is the first Italian world number one in history.
I said that.
Yeah, no, it's just madness. But look at this. Look at that for a sight. Look at that.
He's a superstar in Italy, you know.
It's incredible. I mean, I didn't think that when
you don't realise how much he's worshipped in Italy.
I didn't think it would be this.
I've been in Italy. I've got my dad who's from Italy. We've got family there. It's a sensation. They're obsessed with him. It's like he's the biggest star in Italy across music, sport, across everything at the moment.
Yeah, and just from seeing everything online, you don't really get the idea of how much of a superstar Jannik Sinner is in the rest of the world, especially Italy. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be this much of a phenomenon. I thought it was just going to be just like, Alcaraz hasn't had that same impact in Spain, but maybe that's because Rafael Nadal is still active and there's still
Italy have another one. Because they've got Jasmine Paolini also tearing it up. And I don't know if you want to go to that tweet next. Because,
yeah, let's do it.
It's probably a good place to mention her. Of course, we'll be doing a podcast about her getting to the final, beating Andreeva, and playing Iga, of all people, in the final. But it is the first time in the Open era an Italian woman and a man reached the semi-finals of the same Grand Slam singles draw. Italy is thriving. One's reached the final. Can the other reach the final? That's the big question. And I don't know if we want to do that prediction first and then go over to the other match. Or do you want to just talk about both and then?
Yeah, I still want to speak about the Sinner Alcaraz and their crazy. Well, the fact that they're this crazy rivalry that they've got at the moment. Do you realise that both of them in this Roland Garros, that this to get to this stage in the tournament, they both earned their 50th Grand Slam victory to get to this place. I mean, their careers are sort of moving in this parallel. It's not really something we saw in the last era when we had the greats of the last era coming through. this is something which is quite unique, I think, because they're sort of going at the same trajectory together, which makes it slightly more interesting, I think.
The difference is Alcaraz has won the US Open and Wimbledon. Now he's trying to win Roland Garros, which is 3 of the four slams. Sinner's only won 1 of them this year, but looks almost favourite, you could say, for every other slam now, because that's how good he is. But they are on the same paths. Alcaraz did more a bit sooner, but now I think Sinner probably slightly better player. He's the world number 1 at the end of the day. The head-to-head, let's go to that next, because there's not much separating them there. I think, did Sinner win the last one? Oh no, Carlos won the last one. That was at Indian Wells.
Yep.
The head-to-head's tied at 4-all. The only time they played on clay was in UMAG 2022. Jannik won that match. And Jannik is 33-2 in 2024 and is undefeated in Grand Slams this season. He's going for the calendar slam. Some may say he's going for the golden slam because we're in an Olympics year. And
Mad.
It wouldn't surprise me if he's the only person to ever do it, because on the men's anyway, because
Could you imagine?
good. Carlos is 22-5 in 2024. They're both playing to reach their first Roland Garros final. So that's the good thing. Whatever happens, we're going to get either Sinner or Alcaraz in the final. I guess that's the benefit of them both playing against each other in a semi. If there was the other side, there's no certainty that they'll be either of them will be in the final. They've both come into the tournament after injuries, wasn't sure what they could do. They've grown stronger each match, a rivalry shaping the future of tennis. Every time they play, it's a must-see match that's littered with mind-bending highlights. Who wins? And we'll go down to the image, and maybe we do the prediction now before we go on to the next match.
Before we do, I know that Alcaraz
You don't want to do it, do you? You just really don't want to do this prediction.
I know that Alcaraz had something to say after his match against Tsitsipas. He obviously was very complimentary when speaking about Jannik Sinner when he was asked in his post-match interview on court. And this is what he said, but in a slightly different way.
He's the best player in the world right now. The player who's playing the best. We've played great matches. As you said that you went in 2022. But after that we've played high-level great matches. I'm glad to have him on the tour. Thanks to him, I pushed myself to be better. Give my 100% every morning. To wake up in the morning and want to improve my game. To try to beat him, I love watching him play. It's gonna be difficult, I'm ready to take the challenge and push on this beautiful court. It's the match everyone wants to watch. I'm sure he's gonna show his best, myself as well. Let's see who's gonna win when.
Wow.
Well, there we go, Carlos Alcaraz with his new little goatee beard. Looks brilliant. I mean, very nice words he had to say there about Sinner. Of course, that is completely
lovely voice
real.
as well.
Yeah. Great musician, not just a tennis player. Let us know what you think of what Carlos Alcaraz had to say. But great, we got the opportunity to speak to him there.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, let's get into your prediction, because if you haven't seen my prediction yet, go check out our preview video. I did one myself and put out my thoughts on it and my prediction. So I'll tell you my one again afterwards.
Just give me a little summary. Just give me a little summary.
Right, well, I'll give you a little summary, and this is my summary. I thought coming into this tournament, Carlos Alcaraz was going to win this tournament, but as the tournament has progressed, I've seen Jannik Sinner as a man possessed, and he hasn't lost a Grand Slam match this year, and the way he plays, I feel, is very similar to Djokovic, and the way he manages his energy, the way that he does everything, is in such a way that I feel that he's playing without injury. He's playing in a way that will be conducive to Alcaraz maybe suffering more injury, this type of thing. And I just feel that he's going to be so regimented in his approach to this match that Sinner will be able to just about overcome Carlos Alcaraz, but I think it will be in 5 sets.
Well, if that's the summary, I'd hate to watch the full one.
Whole 24 hours long. No.
The longest summary I've ever heard, but it was Jannik Sinner in 5 sets. For me, the way I see this one going is, firstly, it's extremely tough to call. It has the ability to go either way. But if I had to put my money down on this match, I think Carlos Alcaraz is going to win. I think we've seen a small moment and a lapse of concentration from Sinner against Mutet. I think Alcaraz, the way he's been hitting the ball against Tsitsipas, is probably the highest level we've seen at Roland Garros. I think Sinner is a phenomenon. I'll be shocked if it doesn't go, if it goes 3 sets, and that's either way. It has to be 4 or 5. I'm going to be going for 4 extremely tight sets, no one-sided ones. I'm talking tie breaks, 5s and 4s, and Carlos Alcaraz to win in 4 sets.
Ooh. It's funny how
the 4th being a tie break, which people are thinking that Sinner's going to win.
This is interesting. We've both sort of changed our opinions as the tournament's gone on. You were for Jannik Sinner to win the tournament. I was for Alcaraz, and now they meet. We have both switched sides.
Yeah, it's weird how that's happened. In the draw preview, like you say, you thought Alcaraz was going to go on and win the whole thing. I thought Sinner, but now I've switched. I've seen enough here from Alcaraz. I don't think the arm's playing up too much.
No.
Sinner, I've not seen many injury problems from him either, if I'm honest. But
no.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I think Alcaraz's experience at Roland Garros, he's ready for that final.
This is where that's what makes it so tough. Because
another thing as well, I do feel like being world number 1 is only going to be a detriment to Jannik Sinner.
Well, I'm going the opposite way. I think world number 1 is going to give him...
What happened to Alcaraz the moment he was world number 1? He couldn't win a match. He couldn't buy a match.
This is a different guy.
I don't know. I think it's difficult when you're world number 1 to keep winning. And that's what Djokovic has done so well. Alcaraz couldn't do it. Let's see if Sinner can do it. But I think it plays against you sometimes being world number 1 in big matches.
Basing my parallels on Jannik Sinner with Novak Djokovic rather than Jannik Sinner maybe than with other people who have made their way to the world number 1.
But do you not feel like it's always easier being the one challenging to be world number 1 because you're the one who's got to fight to try and
He hasn't
get
really got it yet.
If you're at... Mate, he's got it. He gets it Monday.
Yeah, exactly. But so he's still not got it yet.
He's got it. He's got it Monday.
I know, but he's got that to look forward to. So he's got a lot of pressure off his shoulders, really. He doesn't have to win this match to get it.
Yeah.
So, but he has the knowledge, I am world number 1 coming into this match.
But people have already been talking about him as it, so...
I know.
But anyway, let's leave it there. That is our prediction. I've gone for Alcaraz in 4. You've gone for Sinner in 5. Let's move on to the other semi-final. This one's Zverev versus Ruud.
Yep.
I'm going to start on this one as, did you watch Zverev de Minaur?
Yes, but not enough to... obviously, I saw some. I didn't see it all. That's the problem.
Did you see before the match started?
Are you talking about the coin toss?
Yes. Did you see the coin toss?
Here we go. Right, so... the coin toss, this is apparently all that everyone's talking about. No one's talking about anything about the match and how badly both of them played and how many unforced errors they both made and how Zverev got through in one of the worst quarterfinals anybody's ever seen. That's what people have said. I'm just going with the reaction.
I think that's over the top. But yeah.
But anyway, they said the fact that this happened at the start where Zverev sort of, use a little bit of gamesmanship in the coin toss to be able to gain serve at the start of the match. Is this a mistake or did he cheat? So this is what happened anyway. It says calls ball. The coin falls on the racket. Claims that he called racket. Umpire gives the benefit of the doubt. De Minaur doesn't object. What do you make of the last one? I think is the most telling.
Difficult. I actually think it's an honest mistake. I think it can happen, these things, and it doesn't really matter that much.
What?
Who serves? I don't think it does.
It doesn't matter who serves between Zverev and De Minaur.
I don't think it does matter who serves first. In a best of 5 Grand Slam match, who serves first in the first set, I don't think matters too much. And I also think that Zverev probably just forgot, because I mean it's so
Pressure.
brash the way he did it.
A lot of pressure in that moment as well. You're not really thinking about coin toss. You're thinking about how
I honestly think it's an innocent mistake, but people are looking into it a lot more, saying, what does that say about his character? He's under trial. What does that mean? He's not someone you can trust,
is that what you say?
And
So is that
no, this is what I was saying, but I think it's an honest mistake. So you're telling me you think he cheated on
No, I
purpose
don't
to gain
think
an
so.
advantage?
What do you think then? I feel that if it did happen and De Minaur noticed, then he should have objected. But I feel that both players, even if I don't think they cared at the moment, I feel like this coin toss thing that they're probably like so focused on just let me play. I don't really care if I win or lose the toss of the coin at the moment. And I don't know. It's hard to say. It's one of those
If you had
things.
to pick a side, which one is it? Cheat or mistake? Because he either knew or he didn't. So what do you think?
I don't know. I don't.
Well, pick a side then.
It did look a bit dodgy, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. It did look a bit dodgy. The more I watched it, the more I thought like, is he really like? I mean, surely you must know. It's just a second before
I'm gonna
when
have to
he's
start
called
calling you Splinter Ben. All this fence sitting is
I
unbelievable.
know, mate. Or like the leader of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Splinter, wasn't he?
So you're not going
was
to
a
really
rat
pick a
as well,
side. You're going to
which
say
is
both,
Fitting, probably.
or you're going to go with mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably a mistake. I mean, I think they probably just didn't know, like they weren't focused on it,
Yeah.
and they probably just went like, "Well, which one did you?" Yeah, but then there's part of me that's thinking like, if you're gonna say like, which one did you call? Like, oh, ball, like that, and he just goes ding, and he's like, oh no, I said racket.
Okay, well, there we go. Ben doesn't know which way he's going to pick.
I don't know
that
if I
one.
believe in this.
So
one.
hopefully you know your prediction who you're going to have winning. But before we get to that, let's have a look at who they've played so far. Do you have the roots up?
Yeah, I'll bring up the Ruud route.
The Ruud route. Well, he had a walkover against Djokovic. It's always handy.
Easy.
He's beaten Melangini Alves, Davidovich Fokina, Echeverry, Taylor Fritz, and a walkover against Djokovic. He went to 5 sets against Davidovich Fokina, 4 sets against Echeverry, 4 sets against Fritz, beat Melangini Alves in straights. Initially, that Davidovich Fokina one, I think, has put some question marks about Casper Ruud, because Fokina's good, but Ruud, he just was run very close. And I don't think that would ever happen, for example, with an Alcaraz or a Sinner. I just don't think that would happen at a Grand Slam at this stage. Did well against Echeverry. You easily can lose a set there. It was 6-1. Apart from that, though, he steadied up and got 6-2, 6-2 in the third and fourth. And then the last one was Fritz. I think that was an impressive one. Statement
really
win.
good.
I think a lot of that was caused by that first set. It went all the way to tiebreak. It won 8-6. That first set was so long. It was nothing between them. If Fritz was to win that first set, then I reckon he would have won the match, because he went on to win the second, Fritz. But yeah, so super important from Casper Ruud. Really good from him. What do you have to say about his route?
Looking for a third straight Roland Garros final as well. I mean, consistency is one of his key attributes. I think he's one of those players that I know we can't compare anybody to the likes of Rafa because it just doesn't. He doesn't. No one comes close. But for like top spin, he's one who does come close, but it's not the same like power. It is a higher level of topspin, if anything, that he brings, and I think it really benefits him in these courts of Roland Garros. I think it's a really tough match to call between him and Zverev. When I was coming in, I thought instantly, my mind goes instantly like Zverev is going to do it.
Yeah,
but
exactly,
the more I
me
think
too.
about it, the more I'm drawn to Casper Ruud. It's very weird.
I think you've got to. I think the reason you've got to is for one reason only, and that's what happened this time last year. I thought Zverev was going to beat him last year. They were pretty much the same with the bookmakers, even before the match. In fact, Ruud is more of an underdog this year than he was last year.
Madness.
But yet, look what he did. I don't know if you've got the score there.
It is 6-3, 6-4, 6-love.
Yep.
6
Straight
love.
set, 2 hours and 11. Ruud played him off the court.
Killed him.
Absolutely dominated him. And I wasn't expecting it at all. Zverev was playing well. We know how well he does at Roland Garros. It was a semi-final match literally last year, and Ruud won it 3-love and got to the final. You can't ignore that. Like, everything would say Zverev until you look at what they did last year.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, I mean, how comfortable the whole thing was. I'm going to put a caveat in that because I don't think Zverev is the same person he was last year. I mean, we know he was still coming back from that injury and he was still finding his feet a little bit. The fact he still even managed to get to a semi-final, I think, was impressive. But when you come up against somebody who's so well-versed on these clay courts, I mean, I'm rethinking my whole initial thought of Zverev really easy finalist. I mean, I feel like this could be a really competitive one. I don't think it's going to be a straight sets win this time. I think both players are going to have a chance in this. Should we get to a prediction?
Let's have a look at Zverev's route first. We've not done that.
Yeah, go on then. Let's have a quick look.
I know you don't want to talk about Rafa Nadal, but he just beat him in straight
Well, I'm a bit
sets.
sad about it.
Terrible
Rafa
first
noise?
round draw for Zverev, but we knew that was kind of... I did say it. It felt a bit like a final for a final. If Rafa was to win that, I generally believe he had a good shot against Goffin, Griekspoor, Rune and Dimonor. We saw him beat Dimonor only a few weeks ago.
Yep.
The Rune one's the big test, wasn't it? And
Griekspoor as well.
I think Rafa would have done better against Griekspoor than Zverev did, but let's not talk about him. He's out. Zverev, tough draw, did extremely well against Holger Rune. To me, that was the most impressive part of the whole run.
I mean, the whole draw is... I mean, you look at it back to front, it is a horrible draw. It's one of the worst draws I think I've seen in a Roland Garros, to be honest. Nadal first round.
I've seen tough.
Nadal first round. Goffin, Griekspoor, Rune, Dimonor. I think was probably one of the. I think it was easier than.
I don't know. Dimonor was
Rune.
good. It was easier than Rune, but still
Yeah.
tough. It is a tough draw. I agree. He's done extremely well to beat Dimonor in straight sets, and now we're here. Ruud versus Zverev. Let's get the image up and we'll give our prediction for it. Maybe I'll go first since you went first on the last one. And I think we're going to have Casper Ruud defeating Alex Zverev and do what he did last year, but this time in 4 sets. I think Zverev will take a set, but Ruud is going to come through and get to the Roland Garros final again. I can't believe I'm saying it because I never thought it would happen. But there's just something about this guy going through the draw. He just does it under the radar and does enough. Doesn't even play well in some matches.
Is he another Murray?
No, it's nothing like Murray, but he's very good until a point. And I think even against Zverev, he seems to be able to beat. He did it last year, and I think he's going to do the same thing again, not in the same fashion. Zverev is going to come up quick. Ruud's going to win the first set in a tie-break. Second set, Zverev's going to win. And then Ruud's going to take the third and fourth.
I mean, is Zverev going to have flashbacks of last year's semi-final? That's the question here.
I think Zverev may be slightly fatigued too, right? I mean, he's played 2 5-setters, but then he was fine against Dimonor.
Yeah, the last one would have helped him out a lot, I
True.
think. You've got to remember when you look at Zverev.
But he didn't play very well, did he? You've been saying. I didn't think it was that bad, but
No, I mean,
I've seen a lot of people saying it wasn't great.
It wasn't great, but the way that he has got through the other rounds was really good. I think this was just a real off match. Maybe it was because he played 2 5-sets back to back that he had to just struggle through one round. It's really tough to call.
What's your prediction?
There's part of me thinking that he wants that revenge as well. I think that Zverev is a bit of a revenge guy as well. Like he wants to like get back on a loss. Like especially
then you say everyone wants revenge.
Yeah, but I feel like he's one who can obtain it.
You reckon he's more motivated by it?
Yeah, I mean, if you saw it, he's one of the only people that I've seen ever take it to Rafael Nadal at Roland Garros. And that's ever in the whole history of Rafael Nadal at Roland Garros. I think if he can do that, and I think last year he wasn't fully fit. I'd say he got to the semi-final, but it wasn't even the best Zverev. That's credit to him that he got all the way to the semi-final without it being his best self. This year, I think he's more motivated, and he's shown that, and he's been grit and determination to get through matches he maybe shouldn't even have won against Griekspoor. Definitely Griekspoor. Rune, maybe slightly more. I'm going to be going for Alex Zverev to win this match, but I'm going to be going for Alex Zverev to win this match in another 5 sets.
What, close sets?
I think it's going to be topsy-turvy. I don't
Who's
think
going to be leading?
Yeah, I think Ruud will be leading 2-1, and Zverev will pull it back to win in 5.
Okay, well, there we go. You've heard it from us on GTL. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section below. How do you have both semi-finals playing out? Please join us for the semi-finals. They should be great matches. And then after that, we'll be covering the final and giving previews and post-match reactions as well. We'll be doing something similar for the women's as well, so stay tuned. And we're going against each other, I guess, on both of them. I've got Alcaraz in the first, you've got Sinner. And in the second, I've got Ruud, you've got Zverev. I mean,
Teeing
could
up
it
nicely.
be one right, one wrong? Or someone could get them both wrong here. I have a funny feeling. Hopefully it's you.
Well, I think that...
Although saying that, if Sinner does get to the final, I will be quite pleased in one way.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's like a win-win. As much as I wouldn't mind I don't mind who really gets to the final. I like both players.
Yeah.
It's just I think Alcaraz is going to win. But if Sinner does, I'll be really pleased as well.
I think that the only time they played on clay, Sinner won. So I'm just going to throw that one out there as well.
Okay, well, thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure, like the video, subscribe if you're new. Go check us out on Spotify too. And we'll see you very, very soon.
Put them out.